Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to some photo editing, something I have not done in a while. So, good evening to you. Hopefully, you've had a good week so far. It has not yet been a week since I last streamed. If you caught my Turok 2 stream back this past Sunday, but if not, welcome on in. I'll be doing some photo editings of stuff that I shot, some of which a few months ago and some about 6 weeks ago. So all stuff that need some tweaking. And as always, this is black and white film. And the fact that I am doing photo editing on Twitch means that this is all safe for work stuff. So, we have stuff that I'll be working on. These are images that I shot back Halloween weekend, start of November, when my spouse and we were in Boston. And we decided one particular day to go visit some cemeteries, a couple of them, one in Lexington, Massachusetts, and one in Concord, Massachusetts. If those names sound familiar to you, that is because that is where the start of the American Revolution took place, in both Lexington and Concord. So we're going to start off with some of the images that I shot from Lexington. In fact, the oldest cemetery in Lexington, Massachusetts. Very convenient that there was a cemetery literally right next to the battle green. Just very convenient. First battle of the Revolution. How convenient there's a cemetery right there next to the battleground. I mean, what bliss. So, yeah. The thing is, a lot of these old New England cemeteries, they don't really have formal names. They're just typically called, like, the burying ground or the old burying ground. Like, most of them don't really have formal names, and the ones are no exception. So this is just Lexington, the old burial ground. So I'll give you a little information about the old burying ground. This comes right from the entry on it, right on Lexington, Massachusetts' own webpage. The old burying ground is Lexington's oldest cemetery. The earliest graves date from 1690. The cemetery contains the graves of many prominent early Lexington settlers, as well as soldiers from the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. Even a British soldier who was injured in the fighting on the battle green and died a few days later in Buckman Tavern. So the Minutemen who fell on the battle green were originally buried in this cemetery, but they were disinterred and reburied on the battle green. And there is a nearby monument that marks their graves. So, good evening, Anxious Doe. How are you doing, my friend? So yeah, we're starting tonight's photo editing with pictures that I shot in the old Lexington burial ground. And so these images were shot on my usual Ilford Delta 400 medium format film. Some other images that I'll be editing tonight were images that I shot with a film that I've never used, Ilford Delta 3200. And those were at an old Gilded Age mansion that is currently in the process of being restored, Ventfort Hall in Lenox, Massachusetts. So we'll be seeing some of those as well. But we're going to start off with this. We're going to start off with one of the images I shot in Lexington. And we have here an arrangement of... We have the Miriam family. They're all in a line here. You know, as we zoom in, we have Robert Miriam, And then we have another Robert Merriam. And then we have Joseph Merriam, and going on, there's, I think, Isaac Merriam, and just goes on down the line. Hello! So once again, I have the tag team in the audience. Excellent. So a lot of the graves in the Lexington Cemetery, this is one of those, I mean, a lot of old New England cemeteries, they're sort of, I don't want to call them haphazardly arranged. They're not in neat little rows the way we have modern cemeteries. I mean, there's usually some semblance of order in some of these. This one has no real sense of order. There are graves, there are headstones and footstones facing in all different directions in this particular cemetery. I mean, when you have a cemetery that dates back to 1690, I don't think urban planning was really much of a thing. It was just like, here's a patch of, here's some ground, here, do that. But we start here. We start right here. I'm gonna turn you down some more. That, and also populations were smaller back then. So. Alright, we don't have curves adjustment. Not really much of a thing. But we can stand to bring out some of the highlights, I think. A little more of the shadow detail. So, and all these little stones that are behind the main headstones, those are all footstones. Those are all footstones. That is a burial practice that we don't really have anymore, at least in this country. We don't usually, modern cemeteries, you do not have actual headstones and footstones. You just have the headstone. So a lot of these footstones will just typically have either just the initials of the deceased or a name. Nothing really, maybe a little ornamentation, a little decorative carving, but it's just, you know, so you can actually get to see, you know, when you have the headstones and footstones like that, the actual space that they're occupying, or, you know, what's left of them. I mean, all of these particular ones are 300 years old. I think they're pretty well decomposed by now. Maybe some bones. If they are, then we have them. Yes. Revolution. Yes, that Resident Evil, but set in colonial New England. I'd play it too. Speaking of, I saw that you did start Resident Evil Requiem. Am I gonna get motion sickness if I play it? I want to see something. Okay, no. I drop. Okay. Better. Oh, good. I'm glad that you can switch between first and third person. Because I would play the entire game on third person. But I'm glad that you can actually do that. That means I'll probably eventually purchase the game knowing that. So, thank you for your investigative reporting. I like that. Let's create a new folder. All right, let's move to another one from Lexington. Man, living to 87, dying in the year 1710, that was a good long life. Portraiture was a thing on some of these old headstones. I mean, this particular individual, this, I forget, Ebenezer something. Not Scrooge. Yeah. He looks a bit like a Muppet. But, you know, we will cut the stonemason some slack here. The next one I actually want to work on is this one. Did you mean to say... I was going to say, did you mean to say unsee? Let's tone down. now, let's bump up the front here. I want to see if I can get a subject mask. Oh no, do that, because I want the image layer. Hey! Mr. Renzella, welcome. Thank you for the sub. I gotta put you in the book now. I gotta put you in the book. How's life with you? What's today's date? Today's the 5th. Jay Renzella gets a sub. Ah, excellent. I want the background. Very lifelike here. I'm doing very well. Very well. It's a bit of an overstatement. I'm doing okay. It was for those of you who did not catch my stream this past Sunday, my grandmother passed away a week ago. Today, actually. So it was a bit of a rough weekend this past weekend, but she was 92, so she had some very good innings, as they say. "92-year-old, tough old woman, tough as nails, very, very dyed-in-the-wool Bronx Jew. Stereotypes exist for a reason. And no, she was, outlived my grandfather by 26 years. So, well done. I was talking in I was talking about my grandmother with my therapist this evening. And my grandmother was the type of woman who, she had made it pretty clear that, she hated to be the center of attention. So she really didn't want a service, she didn't want a headstone or anything like that. Her mindset was basically one of, cremate me and then do whatever the hell you want with the ashes. What do I care? I'm dead. So, that was my grandmother. And so I know my older uncle, the eldest kid, he's going to get some of those ashes. My mother is going to get some of those ashes. And then at some point, later this spring, my uncle is going to make the flight from Vegas to New York so that some of her ashes can be sprinkled on the grave of my grandfather. And so when he does that, then I will be sure to stop by and be with him for that. But what I was mentioning with my therapist was that, I've been taking so many photographs of cemeteries and headstones for so long, and I was just reminded of, I don't know how often you traipse through cemeteries. I mean, what are you people, freaks? I don't know. But I've seen quite a number of headstones, particularly in more, more modern headstones, where you have, they have a headstone in which you have, the first half of a married couple, usually the husband, will have their information on it. And then on the other side of the headstone, it is very clearly indicated, it's very clearly marked for that person's wife, who was not dead yet at the time of, husband's passing. So there's a name for the wife, and there is usually a birth year, but no death year, which always makes me chuckle because, like, the wife has, like, a birth year that is over a century ago, like a century, 150 years ago. So I always laugh when I see something like that, because very obviously the wife did not want to be buried next to her husband. Either that, or we have like a 150 we have a 150-year-old woman walking around somewhere. I mean, I don't know. But my grandmother, since my grandmother outlived my grandfather by about 26 years, she was very much, she was asked, she's like, do you want to be buried next to my grandfather? And she's like, no, not really. Like she had a whole quarter century. And she's like, no, I've made my peace. I've moved on. So yeah, it was just. So yeah, so she's getting cremated, and then my uncle and my mom will split the ashes between them, and a little bit will come back home at some point in the spring, and that'll be that. I think I need to tone that down. I think we've got a bit much there. Yeah, I think that's better. I think that background was coming up a bit too dark. Started with that. There we go. Just a little bit darker, I think. Here lies the body of Joanna Russell, wife to Philip Russell, aged 42 years, and the bottom is covered in dirt. I don't know when the death date was. I trust you have not had any more asparagus juice since the last time I saw you. I hope you've kicked that habit. I hope you have sworn off asparagus juice. So this is basically the... It was tough, but you stayed... So this is basically the view of the Lexington cemetery as you're walking in. I mean, this barely paved path is your way in. And yeah, there's just... Graves are just lined up, higgledy-piggledy. So where the Minutemen that fought in the battle at Lexington, where they were originally buried, was somewhere over to the right here. Just almost a, bit to the right and further back. It was, it's the closest point to the actual battleground itself. And as you get further in, the path just sort of curves and you get just a variety of stuff. Yeah, that looked vile, and you're a braver man than I. Now here's a bit of a nicer image, just again walking into the place. So you'll try anything twice. All right, let's go with this one. Youth remember death. And they always had these sayings on these things. Oh, what time is it? 8:20. All right, yep. Last chug. And now I have to stop hydrating, otherwise I'm going to get up 1 billion times in the middle of the night to go pee. All right, let's crop ya. I don't think I'll do too much to this. Darken the outside a bit. Let's tone down some of that brightness. Youth remembered. I mean, you see some of the messages written on early American and Puritan headstones. I mean, yeah. Usually it's memento mori. But yeah, no, that's quite metal. And here's just your standard, head with wings. very common iconography. But like I said, this memento mori, typical again. You have the head with the angel wings, and you usually typically also have hourglasses. Head with wings, as you do. Yep, again. I mean, this is Massachusetts. I mean, this is just a thing. So this is an example of one of those footstones I was telling you about. And this is also a husband and wife. So that's the footstone. I believe that is the headstone or the one next to it. But yeah, again, that was a common practice back then. You had headstones and footstones. Footstones aren't really a thing anymore in common burial practice. So now let's shift to... Oh yeah, I should rotate you. So this is in Concord, Massachusetts, not far away from Lexington. The cemetery that I shot at in Concord is one of the oldest ones. And again, it's just that cemetery in Lexington was just called the Old Burying Ground. This cemetery in Concord that's on a hill is called the Old Hill Burying Ground. And this one was just the top bit got, taken off somehow. I mean, a lot of these headstones are made with slate, which is very brittle. I mean, it retains carving very well, but it is brittle. And that's actually something that I've just noticed as time has passed. And as you go further inland, I mean, coastal New England, Massachusetts, they had a lot of slate. So a lot of these old headstones are made with slate, which again retain carving very, very well. It doesn't weather away quite as quickly the way like limestone or granite, or like when you start moving further inland and away from slate, and also as you move forward in time, and you start looking at 19th century headstones, so many of those headstones have weathered away. It's not like slate. Oh, we do have some dust and scratches up there that I'll take care of. So this particular headstone reads, "Here lies the body of Miss Dorothy Adams, daughter of Mr. Joseph Adams, of Miss Dorothy Adams, daughter of Mr. Joseph Adams and Mrs. Dorothy Adams, who died April 10th, 1766, in the 29th year of her age." All right, let's get rid of some dust and scratches here. Oops. Ow. No. Make you a little bit bigger. You a little bigger. There we go. Cool. Oh, shit. I meant to rename that. Should have been 19. So then we have another one from Concord that, like, okay. So because of the way, the way people wrote, S's sometimes look like F's. So you're talking about Anxious Toe is sounding very metal. We have a skull here, and all that reads is, "All must submit to the King of Terrors. Through Christ we conquer, rise, and reign forever." So, speaking of metal, and another head with wings, and then the tiny little writing below that says, "Weep not for me." Yeah, huh? Weep not for me. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Yes, I found some Chrono Trigger lo-fi music. So, you're welcome. All these lines are making me want to be buried after all. So, I've mentioned this before. I edited some pictures from the cemetery where he's buried in, but John Belushi is buried at a cemetery on Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts, and his headstone is in the style of one of these Puritan, like, early American headstones, and it's great. I think if I decided I wanted to be actually buried and I wanted a headstone, I would also do it in like an early American style, but mine would probably say something silly along the lines of "You get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir." You know, something like that. Weep not for me because I drank asparagus juice. No, no, no. Oh, I forget which one are you. Oh yeah. You this one, we have Memento Mori, and then they've got their frickin' coat of arms inscribed into it. Yeah, the Concord cemetery, it's the old hill burying ground. I actually really like that shot, so I'm going to work on this one. Oh yeah, now we're getting to be a bit blown out. Yeah, think of where we started, and now we're here already. But this was getting on toward dusk almost. I'd actually like to go back and explore Concord proper because it's a nice little town, with so much history behind it. But by the time Ethan and I got here, we were getting close to sunset, and I was getting pretty close to running out of light to be able to shoot properly. Because the general rule of thumb in photography is that if If your exposure time is longer than 1/60th of a second, you are going to probably want to use a tripod, because slower than 1/60th of a second, your camera can pick up the tiny vibrations of your hands while you're holding the camera, and you will start to get blurry images. 1/60th is the cutoff. Yeah, I mean, I want to explore more of it next time I'm that way. I mean, I spend as much time in Massachusetts as I possibly can. I just very much enjoy it. Like, I'm going to Boston toward the end of this month for PAX East, and I am very excited about that. I'm going to Tanglewood for a couple of concerts. Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. All right, we've got some dust and scratches here. Not many, though. Just little tiny marks up in the sky there. Yes, baby's first PAX. So precious. Most of the schedule is up. Not all of it, though. Like the actual video game tournaments are not in the schedule yet. All the board and tabletop stuff is up there, but not the we do not have, that's a spot. We do not have again the video game tournaments up. I like that a lot, considering we started here, so, yeah. I might come back to you, but in the meantime, I'm going to go to some more recent images. So... Martin Luther King weekend. Martin Luther King weekend, Ethan and I, we went and spent a long weekend in Lenox, Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts. And one of the things that we did when we were there was we visited an old Gilded Age mansion that is currently in the process of being restored. It's called Ventfort Hall. And this was a house that was initially in J.P. Morgan's family. So we're talking rich here. And I shot using a film that I have never shot with before. It was Ilford Delta 3200 speed film. This is the type of film that you would use in low light conditions. And I didn't have a tripod, so I was really hoping that I could get away with something like this. And I think I was somewhat successful. We're going to see what I can pull. Hey, Rin, welcome. So we're going to see what kind of stuff I can pull from a film that I've never shot with before. So let's start with the dining room in the Spencer Mansion. I mean, at Ventfort Hall. So we're going to start here. So this is what the image looks like as shot on 3200 speed film. You can already tell just how dim it is just for that film. So let's see what I can pull out here. It's going to be grainy as fuck is what it's going to be. Because that is the risk you get with this type of film. Because at this point, the grains of silver on this film are so huge that grainy images are going to be the thing. Oh yeah, we don't want to go too crazy. Yeah, except I don't think J.P. Morgan's family was in the business of having secret underground labs beneath their mansions. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, it's I mean, and I expected this because again, the higher you go, you start getting into the 800, 3200 speed, you're very likely going to run into film grain. It's just the nature of it. But for a first attempt shooting with this type of film, I don't hate it. It just means that the next time I come here, I am actually going to have to make do with a tripod. I'm just going to have to. There's no getting around it. And you have some forced capitalism coming up, so please enjoy. Yeah, considering we started with that. Yeah. Not my best work, but, I will take it, considering that we started with that, so. Able to bring up some more life out of it, at the very least. Ventfort. Converted. New folder. C1 edits. I do actually have some color images that... Did I bother to get them off of my digital camera? That'd be absolutely hilarious if I... No, I got them. We just grab... So you can actually see what this looks like in color. In color! So before I continue editing the black and whites, I'll show you what this looks like in full color. So, dining room. And then we have, the long hall. And then we have the staircase heading into the up into the second floor. That's on the second floor, as is that. And then some of the guest rooms. Parlor of sorts. So yeah, I'm very glad I brought my little digital along. Ha! Does like I said, it has that vibe. So now let's go to you. I mean, I can absolutely understand, you know, for the aesthetic. We want the aesthetic. We like the aesthetic. I must confess, I am not a major fan of overtly obvious film grain. But this is absolutely a learning experience. Because I do intend on coming back to this place because it is, again, in the process of being restored. So right now, you don't have, when you go visit, you don't have access to the whole house. And, you know, when we brighten it up, we do lose some of the detail in the curtains. And, you know, if we get rid of all the black, you know, we get that. So it'll be a no. But no, that's not bad. Oops. Undo that, please. So yeah, not bad. Did my music budget run out? Yes, it did. So let's pop on some other music, more different music. Oh, how about you? You look tasty. In keeping with the theme here. So you were, no, I'm curious. Yeah, no, not that one. How's about... Hey, we have an incoming raid, low base guy bringing the party. Low base bringing the party. You're going into the book. Welcome on in, everyone. Everything Creative. Thank you for Everything Creative Amity. Thank you so much. Welcome on in, everyone. Low base guy is going into the book for the raid. Look what you did. You're going into the book of the kindness there. Chris, what are you, hold on. Everything Creative Amity did a follow. Well, I have film. Nice. I have the perpetual, and now I have like the perpetual license, like the one-time purchase. So I do not know if that update gets applied to my version of Capture One or not. But, be that as it may, welcome on in, everyone. I am Eroivus, aka Brian. Welcome on in. I'm currently editing some black and white film that I developed live on stream the last time I developed film. And if you are curious, about the other type of photography I do, there's the link to my card page where you can find me smeared across the internet. And thank you for spending some of your Thursday evening with me. I absolutely enjoy the pleasure of your company. So come on in. I was just doing some... I was just editing some images that I shot in the cemeteries of Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts. We've slipped now into some images that I shot at an old Gilded Age mansion in Lenox, Massachusetts called Ventfort Hall, where I am currently looking at the results of my shooting Ilford Delta 3200 for the first time. I know, Low Base, you were curious to see what came out of my first attempt at 3200. So the two images that I've edited so far from this are this one, in which the original looked like that. The original looked like that, and I brought it up to a little more up to snuff. Film grain all over the place, but we both knew that was coming. And then also this one, which, again, started life looking like that. And, are there photos among the grain? Yeah, there's some. I'm trying to coax out what I can. If, at the very least, it's a very good learning experience. It's a very good learning experience. I'm curious, because I want to go back here as it continues to be restored, this old Gilded Age mansion. I'm curious, because I didn't have my tripod with me for this. I'm curious to see what this looks like if, if I have a proper tripod and I'm not trying to fiddle around with, trying to keep everything at 1/60th or faster. So you got one of the dining areas. But I actually would like, what I want is to see if I can get something out of you. Oh yeah, these are all going to be grainy as fuck. Like for an old Gilded Age mansion, I think grain is is a nice aesthetic, but I'm definitely seeing what came out. Okay, so if you have, is it color film? I mean, is it color film? Because if it was already shot with, so if it was already exposed and you try to go develop it, chances are that you'll probably have some images on there, but they will probably be red shifted. And that's to say that your film, all of your exposed images will probably have a noticeable reddish cast if it's never been developed, because the emulsion degrades over time, especially when it's been shot, when the images when you've already exposed the film. So, because that was the case, there was I developed some old rolls that my in-laws had. They were images that they took of, my spouse and their brother from when they were kids. So this was, again, like 25-year-old film. And I took it to get it developed, and there were images present on them, but because the emulsion had degraded somewhat, the images had a noticeable sort of red cast. All right, that's not too terrible. Oh, so it was developed and printed on photo paper years ago. We do have the physical images on the paper, but I'd like to get digital versions. So if I'm better off scanning film, the only thing I could suggest with that would be to try them both. Because most scanners that have the ability to scan film nowadays have the ability to automatically color correct, and fix dust and scratches on the image, like on the scanned image, not the negative itself. Because I know that my film scanner, I use an Epson Perfection V800 flatbed scanner to scan all of my negatives. And if I'm scanning color film, the color correction, the image correction technology in the Epson scan software is really good. It won't do a damn bit of good for it won't do a damn good for black and white, but for color, it's really good. All right, so let's see. What other... I think of all of the images that I shot on this Delta 3200, I think that one actually came out the best. Ooh. So eventually, if you are able to get a scanner that does scan film, I do suggest the Epson Perfection series. And Epson doesn't pay me to say that. It's just I've been using their scanners for years, and with really good results, because they also come with film negative holders. So when I scan my medium format film, it comes with a holder for medium format film. So there's that. There is one for 35 millimeter, so comes with that. And I also do have a holder. I never use it because I don't have any, but it also comes with a holder for slide film. So the specific model that I have is called the Epson Perfection V800. I'll put it in the chat for you. That is the scanner specifically that I own. many years ago when I started scanning negatives, I had a Nikon Coolscan, but that only scanned 35 millimeter, and Nikon stopped supporting it after Windows moved on from XP. So it's no longer supported. So let's see, what other ones can I see about coaxing out here? Oh yeah, grain all over the place. Oh, that one I even caught the film information on there. 1/60th f9.5 45 millimeter lens. So I'm just going through these to see which ones Maybe I'll rotate left. Yeah, unfortunately, they're not cheap, and that is. Yeah, what Anxious Doe said.
Everything is food. Everything is something else's food. And it's humbling for humans to recognize it, not the top of the pyramid. It's just the food for microbes.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to be a whole lot on this roll to come out. No! Don't do that. There is an ad break forthcoming, so Twitch is going to subject you to some forced capitalism. Just letting you know. Oh yeah, these are... You've been making bot updates so long that you have become a bot yourself. What are you? Oh, you must be the stairwell. Oh God. Yeah, no.
We are all human, and for all humans, the food we eat ends up being us.
Got some curtain. Yeah. Didn't think I was gonna get a whole lot out of it, but you know, there's a couple. I'm glad I'm glad. I had a sneaking suspicion that, you know, I was probably going to get some, you know, mostly bullshit from, or not the best images. So that's why I'm very glad I brought my little point and shoot along. So. Oh, good. Excellent. All right. So I'm going to go back to the dead things. Gonna go back to the dead things because I like my dead things.
And for all humans, the food we eat ends up being us.
Let us go to, let's see, I did you. Let's do you. So you are a footstone for a Willard Hartwell. Also, for those of you who are joining me for the first time and have never seen medium format film, medium format film is just a larger version of... It's bigger than 35 millimeter, and I'll give you a bit of a visual aid. Depending on how old some of you watching might be, you may have never seen film in your life. At which point, I'm going to wait for the earth to just open up and swallow me whole. But I'll give you a little bit of a visual aid as to the size difference of film. So, this is 35 millimeter. That's 35 millimeter, so I'll just pop a strip out here just to show you. So, 35 millimeter. This is the standard size of what we shoot with now, and this is medium format, which is more than twice the size of 35 millimeter. So you have this. I'll put them up side by side here for you, using my fingers here. So that's the difference. And to develop this film, the process is exactly the same. The medium format just uses like twice as much chemical. And if whenever I have film to develop, I develop it right here, live on Twitch, in my what I call my constant agitation streams, because that's what you have to do. I have ordered some color film that I'm going to shoot with at some point soon, because I mentioned this the last time, my spouse got me a color developing kit for Christmas. So now I actually have to learn how to develop color film by hand. And it's trickier than black and white film. Far more toxic and far less forgiving. Were you sending me messages on Discord? You're not wrong. You are not wrong. But you can develop either film in a film developing tank. You just need, at the very least, a film changing, a black double-lined film changing bag, so that you can take the film from the camera or from the film canister and pop it into the reel. The last thing you sent, Low Base Guy, before that was you were talking about putting a new feature into the community bot, which will provide live streaming tech support. So, because Amity, that's how I develop black and white film. I put it in the film changing bag. I pop the canister, load the film from the film canister onto the reel, put it in the film developing tank, and then just develop it in broad daylight. Because once it's in the tank, the light tight funnel prevents light from getting through. And I just pour all my chemicals through there, and away you go. All right, so well, in case you, Amity, in case you want a resource, all my photography streams are on my YouTube channel. So all of my film developing streams and other photo editing streams are on my YouTube channel. I'll just pop that in the chat there. That's where they live. So, and I've done a couple of videos where I've just gone through the entire process, no, non-stream videos where I just go through the entire process of developing black and white photography, black and white film. So if you want to use those as a resource, go right ahead, have at it. You know, that's where all my video game streams also wind up. So, you know, there's also that. That's an interesting choice. Actually kind of like that. But yes, so yes, these are, again, images from two old cemeteries in Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts, where the revolution happened. Started, I should say. So that's where we started. That's where we've ended up. I actually like that. There's definitely some dust and scratches I see there. It's 2:15 a.m. All right. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you again on future streams. So thank you so much. Sleep well. What I've been here an hour and a half. All right. Still have half an hour or so to go. before I bid y'all adieu. Because unfortunately, it's a work night. I hate that. I'm working remotely tomorrow, but still, I hate that. I got you. What are you? Oh, that one's all in shade. Damn it. Ah, this is the oldest. That's what it was. That's why I took a picture of this. This is the oldest headstone in this cemetery. This dates back to 1690. Here lies the body of Isaac Stone? Aged something years. Deceased 10th of September, 1690. I actually think the, there we go. Here lies the body of Isaac Stone, aged 31 years, deceased 10th of December, 1690. So yes, this is the oldest headstone in this cemetery. And the fact, I mean, you see the rudimentary skull and wings. That's standard. Bones. There's the little hourglass. You know, not bad for 336 years, almost. Let's... Did I do that? Yes, I did. Duh, it was the first one I did. What are you? Oh, you're at the... Okay, so this is at the top of the hill. Of the old hill burying ground in Concord. So yeah, let's play with this one. Bring up some of the shadow detail there. And you have some forced capitalism coming. No, I do want some contrast in there. Not a lot. I don't need a whole lot, but a little is nice. We do want some black in there. Yeah. I was you know, I do like to check eBay and whatnot from time to time for photography stuff. And, you know, photography is incredibly expensive. Prohibitively so in a lot of places. I would love to get my hands on a medium format DSLR. That ain't gonna happen for a very long time, just letting you know. I can't even afford a $500 Steam Deck. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford a several $1,000 medium format DSLR. No way in hell. What are you? Why did I... Oh, yes. I took this image because there's... Art isn't a get-rich... I mean, the tech bros who think AI is going to be that for them... You know, everyone who thinks that generative AI is the next big thing, you know... Ugh. Ugh. Don't get me started on that rant. Yeah, same. Too much. That's better. But for those of you who are here, thank you so much again for spending some of your Thursday evening with me. I again very much appreciate the pleasure of your company. So if you happen to live locally and you're watching this, just want to let you know that I will be selling my photography in person at the next 3 big game markets that are going to happen here in the capital region of New York. So March 22nd, I believe, I will be in Troy, New York, selling my photography, and then I will be at the late April big game market. That's the first outdoor market, so I'll have bigger space. It's in downtown Albany at Washington Park. And then in May, I will be vending at a big game market again in Glens Falls, which is about an hour and some north of here. Up at the Shirt Factory, which is a place that I have had my art in shows. So, but yes. And also, you know, as is always the case, if you go onto my website and you want to buy any of my images that are there, shoot me an email and we will talk about getting you that work. I am still currently trying to figure out a way to sell my art on my website without running afoul of the payment processors that have sort of become the moral arbiters of our society. The last time I tried setting up a storefront on my website, it was through Stripe, because that was the payment processor that Squarespace works with. And Stripe closed my account because they looked at my website and they went, "Oh, you sell porn." And I went, no, that is art. That is nudity. Nudity does not equal porn. There's nothing sexual or explicit happening in any image. But they were like, nope, you have nudity. That's porn, and we're shutting you down. So yeah. So at the moment, if you would like physical artwork of mine, you can go onto my you could shoot me an email and we'll talk through that. Or you can sign up for my Patreon. Everyone who is a paid patron, they get a monthly image to download. For those who subscribe at the $5 a month level or higher, you get that month's print mailed directly to you. I print you out a physical print and set it on your merry way. Or, of course, if you happen to be in the, capital district of New York, you can always come to a big gay market and meet me and buy stuff. Buy my artwork. And yes, it is very much bullshit, Anxious Doe. Gigantic quantities of bullshit. You look blurry. I don't see any. Yeah, you're a bit blurry. So I'm gonna pass on you. I don't know what you were focusing on. Here lies buried the body of Mr. John Temple, who departed this life July 17th, 1734. So because I was here literally the day after Halloween, it was November 1st, we still had pumpkins on some of these headstones. I think I'll do one or two more before we do the recap and sign off for the night. Let's go to this Muppet here. I'm actually very curious as to the name of this guy, so I'm going to see if I can look him up on Find a Grave. All right, well, you have fun. Thank you for stopping by, as always, Anxious Doe. I will be heading to bed not long after I wrap up for the night, so thank you as always, and maybe I will see you tomorrow for Turok 2. Because that's what I do on Friday nights. I want to see. Ah, okay. So this particular headstone, oh, there's even some history on here. So this particular headstone is the full inscription says, it says I closed out everything. So let's try that again. We just had the big reveal, and then I hovered just a little too close to the sun. and we close everything out because that's the joy of live entertainment for you. Now I gotta go back to you. Stop. All right, so this is Lieutenant Ebenezer Fisk, who was born and died in Lexington. Born September 16th, 1692, died December 19th, 1775, 83 years old. And according to Find a Grave, Ebenezer was the youngest child of David and Sarah Fisk. He was the youngest brother of Deacon Jonathan Fisk. 8 months before his death, his farm, now located within Minuteman National Park in Lexington, was the site of a small skirmish during the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So the full headstone also has a blurb on the bottom of it. So I'll just read to you what the headstone actually says. Here lies the body of Lieutenant Ebenezer Fisk, who departed this life December 19, 1775, in the 85th year of his age. And then on the bottom of his headstone, a little verse. Time was I stood as thou dost now, and viewed ye dead as thou dost me. Ere long you lie as low as I, and others stand and gaze at thee. So yes, we will work on this one as the last one of the night before I do what I always do at the end of my streams and do a nice little recap of what was done. I don't really think I need to do a whole lot, just bring him up. Because Ebenezer here is the star of the show. So he was a lieutenant. Cool. Cool. Yep, I think that is the last one I'm going to do tonight. So I'm just going to do a little recap, as is always the case. If any of you have any questions out there on photography, just put them in the chat. But before I do that, let's get a couple of shout-outs going that I neglected to do when the raid actually happened, but I am part of the community that is headed by Low Base Guy, the web creative community. They are a big Discord server full of creatives, a lot of photographers, a lot of other artists as well. It's a pretty thriving network. It's very active, and even though I am not as active there as I would like to be, it's still a great place. You can share your work, get critique. It's a lot of fun. So if you are interested in joining the web creative community, the link is now in the chat for ya. All right. Let us show you what we did this evening. That's right. I labeled. I forget what I should have labeled this one. Oh, that should have been 19. Okay, I see what I did. All right, so let's bring y'all over here. And in no particular order, we did that one. And we did that one. That is our youth remember death. Because, again, they were very metal back then. This was the first one we did. That was the family of Miriams. That was Ebenezer. We just did that. That's the body of Joanna Russell. Then we have the ones that from Concord. Weep not for me. Our footstone here. And then our view from the top of the Old Hill Burying Ground in Concord. And then the couple that I was able to get something out of from Ventfort Hall in Lenox. These two guys. Probably the ones that came out the best of all of them. So, again, thank you so much for spending some of your Thursday evening with me. So, my plan for the rest of the week, tomorrow I'll be back to my video game streams, as is what I do every Friday night. Tomorrow, I'm going to be probably finishing up Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. That is the game that I've been playing through the last 3 weeks. Because we only have one level to go, then some backtracking, and then the final boss. So I think we're going to wrap it up tomorrow night. And then next week, we'll start a new game. So, yeah. So let's see. Let us see if there is anyone on for me to send you over to. Yeah, actually. Somebody who was actually in my chat just a short while ago. Jay Renzella was in the chat, so we're gonna bring y'all over to him. He is a wood carver and also a watercolor painter. So let's see, actually, what is he doing this evening? Oh, he's currently drawing, he's doing an artist study as he's doing a woodcutting. The Albert Durr Artist Study. Oh, that should be fun. Whoops. Let me actually punch in into that. So, all right, my friends. Until I see you all again, stay healthy, stay safe. Love you guys. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for the last of Turok 2, but if not, I'll see you again soon. Good night, and joy be with you all, everyone. Be well. I'll see you soon.